All right, welcome back to another episode. We are working on the Alpha again in the garage. Now, we have several unfinished projects that we can't really finish until we get some things out of the way. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do what we need to do to get this engine out of here. So, we're going to start by removing the shifter, drive shaft, transmission crossmember, engine mounts, drop the tranny separately, and then we're going to bring the hoist in here and pull this engine out so we can get much more room to work around in the engine bay. Let's get started.
So since recording that intro, the plan changed a little bit. So I had a little bit of time off over the holidays, and so a lot more wound up getting done than what was originally planned. So this video, you can think of it as kind of like a recap for the whole end of 2025 and a little bit of the beginning of 2026. We still wound up getting the engine and the transmission, drive shaft, all that stuff pulled, basically just to clear the way to do some finish welding on the cross members and completely finish up the tunnel. This was one of those things that I was not looking forward to doing, but it had to be done. So getting everything finished up with that, getting a nice bead of sealant on everything so we don't have anything coming through the seams, and then basically giving the engine bay a nice new coat of paint. So getting everything back to one color again. And this is what we wound up with. We also took the opportunity to do a little bit of cleaning on the engine and the transmission. These are already pretty clean when I picked them up, but I got some degreaser in the pressure washer, took them outside, and just really got everything good. I don't want to go through all this and wind up, if I have to work on something, wind up with dirty hands. So it's a good opportunity to get everything clean, nice, and good to go. This is the tunnel from the inside. There's still some sanding, smoothing, and cleaning that needs to be done, but at least everything is together and sealed. So at this point, it's time to get the car back down on its wheels so we could turn it around. Luckily, this car is small enough where I could actually turn it around inside the garage. Now that I got the driver's side accessible, I'm working on a mounting plate for the E-throttle. This is just to get everything mounted. It's a Bosch Motorsports E-throttle unit, so this mounts directly to the firewall, but the Alfa firewall isn't exactly flat. So this is just a matter of getting a plate cut out that could be welded to the firewall so we get a nice sturdy flat piece to bolt to. Before the engine goes back in, I took this opportunity to go through and clean up all the connectors and everything on the wiring. Now, the stock wiring harness uses this like corrugated plastic and sheathing that goes over everything. It's good, it does well enough, but it has just dirt and dust over the years, and it gets really hard and cracked and sort of just starts to flake off. So I took a few days and sat through and cut off every single one of those little plastic corrugated things, all the extra clips and brackets that aren't going to be used anymore, clipped off all that, pulled it all off, and I'm going to be re-sleeving it all in nylon braided tubing, taping it all up nice. And like I said, taking the opportunity to actually clean the plastic connectors as I go through and do that stuff. This is one of those things where it's tedious, it takes a long time, but it's definitely worth it in the end just to have that fresh new look. This nylon braided sleeving is not that expensive, and you can get it in sizes all the way from a 1/4 inch all the way up to several inches. We decided to pull what was left of the wiring underneath the dash and just start fresh. We're going to be putting in this ECU. Now we're starting with the stock S2000 ECU, but we're not actually going to be using it. We're just going to be using the case. Now this Link ECU also has the ability, they graciously provided us with some pads on the back where we can use the normally unused D connector to feed out a bunch of stuff. So all we have to do is solder on some wires onto the back of that pad, and then we'll be able to interface directly with that D connector without any dangling connectors coming off the side. So put a little Link sticker on the top there just so we could know that it's not stock. Now, obviously we have a lot more electronics than we did in the car before, and I'm a big fan of keeping everything hidden. But this being a race car, I also want things to be easily accessible. So what I did was I made this plate out of aluminum, and as you can see, I have everything that's going to be mounted on this plate, and you'll see how we hook this up to the car later. But we got the ECU up at the top there, a sort of a solid state power distribution module. It's not one of the expensive like programmable ones, but it's a really good, nice compact module. A fuse box to the left, and then a couple of power distribution posts. The ECU mounts are 3D printed out of TPU, and we're just getting everything mounted to the plate here so we could start doing wiring. Now, a lot of the wiring is going to happen once this plate is in the car, but we're going to pre-run as much as we can. Next step up is the adapter plate that'll mount the Bosch electronic throttle body onto the intake manifold. Now, this version has the recessed heads, but you'll see this next version that I sent out to Senkatsen, this has the smaller holes, and those are basically going to be pilot holes, so we'll use those to mill out the head recesses later. And while we're at it, I sent them over the files for the gasket so we can get these cut out of 1/8 inch rubber. And this is the result, a little bit of manual milling with a hand drill, and everything bolts on together. Couple of final touches before the engine goes in, like running these front brake lines, and we are ready to go. Moment of truth.